I'll tell you about drivers. You want to hate when they pull out right in front
and
of
no signals.
Yeah, like I read minds, right?
And how about those last-minute exits off the freeway?
They must think they own the road.
Oh, they drive me crazy!
Lousy drivers. It's not a game. There's real danger to steer clear of. But what should you watch out for? Find out in a special report on Action News tomorrow night at 6 on WRAL TV 5.
One of her daughter and her mother found her. After having received a tip that a friend had spotted a vehicle parked in that secluded area.
Atkinson says Wilmak has been missing since Sunday morning.
The man who served as psychologist for Northampton County School System is facing a 21-year jail term tonight, one day after pleading guilty to a series of charges of sexual misconduct. Several girls testified in court today that Youngblood had taken physical liberties with them while they were students enrolled in the high school he served as psychologist and gymnastics coach. Judge Hamilton Hobgood sentenced Harry Youngblood to 21 years in prison for his admitted sexual misconduct. Child of a neighbor.
We feel like that there are girls out there that are protected now. That maybe families won't have to go through the pain we've gone through.
Prosecutors say Youngblood will probably serve 8 years in prison.
The Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the Food and Drug Administration are searching for radiation leaks, but nowhere near nuclear power plants. Soda bottling plants, breweries, and cosmetic manufacturers are the target. And what they were looking for was a small device made by the 3M company. It's supposed to eliminate static electricity and dust, but some have developed a minor radiation leak. 3M has supplied the state with a list of companies that are licensed to use the device. The North Carolina Radiation Protection Section says that hundreds may be in use across the state. Around the country so far, about 25 of the units have been found to be releasing more than radioactivity than allowed by federal guidelines. The amounts of radiation leaking are described as minute and so far have caused no contamination.
An armed man is still standing off the law on an Indian reservation tonight in Oklahoma. A Ponca Indian, 45-year-old Maynard Hinman, has barricaded himself with a rifle at the Ponca tribal headquarters. He took over the building early this morning, demanded to talk with officials about what he called corrupt tribal practices. Indians there have complained that their candidates are not getting a fair chance at filing for election. So far, no one has been hurt.
The Army's ban on homosexuals was ruled unconstitutional by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. In ruling on the case of Sgt Perry Watkins, the court voted 2-1 that the Army's regulations banning soldiers with a homosexual orientation violated constitutional guarantees of equal protection under the law. Watkins was discharged from the Army in 1984 after 14 years in service. He had repeatedly acknowledged his homosexuality, starting with a statement on his pre-induction medical form in 1967. This is the first time ever an appeals court has ruled this way, and most recently have allowed the Army to discharge people based on homosexual acts.
Members of the Senate heard more testimony today from the former right-hand man of Panamanian military leader Manuel Noriega. Jose Blandon says the CIA supplied the Panamanian government with classified and personal information about Americans planning to visit Panama. Among those Americans was North Carolina Senator Jesse Helms. Blandon also testified that Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North wanted Noriega to establish training bases for the rebels in Nicaragua. Blandon says North met with Noriega on a yacht privately. An aide to Blandon said that North's secretary, Fawn Hall, accompanied him on those trips. Meanwhile, in Panama, General Noriega is trying to get enough support from his people to kick out the Americans there. Noriega says the drug charges against him are trumped up by the United States, so he wants the 10,000 U.S. troops out of there. And the State Department's answer to that is that the troops have a right to be there under an agreement that extends to 1999. But the conflict will continue. Some observers say that Noriega will fight like a Bengal tiger to hold on to his grip on the country.
The Palestinian Liberation Organization's office in New York will have to close down. Attorney General Edwin Meese says he was acting on legislation adopted by Congress last December to close the PLO mission at the United Nations. The PLO mission was established 13 years ago in New York. It enjoyed observer status at the UN. The PLO has never been recognized by the United States, but has been accorded observer status at the UN. Tonight, New York authorities are trying to figure out what happened. In the biggest art theft ever in the United States, $6 million worth of art was stolen from the Colnaghi Art Gallery in Manhattan. Some of the paintings dated to the 14th century. The FBI says its job now is to make sure the art world knows what works of art were taken. The Bureau also said next to narcotics, art theft is the biggest criminal act in the world.
Coming up, North Carolina has gone into a new business, and when Action News 5 tonight continues, we'll tell you why the state will be sinking ships.
The class of '88 wants to graduate alcohol-free. Broughton students show us their plan. All good things must come to an end. We'll say farewell to some friends on their way home.
Future engineers try to master a soft landing from 20 feet with an egg. Some made it, some didn't.
Most middle school students in Wake County believe abusing alcohol and drugs poses a high risk to their physical well-being. That's just one of the preliminary results of a 3-year study on the effects of drug and alcohol prevention programs in the public schools. The study is being conducted by the Research Triangle Institute, Drug Action, and the Wake County Public School System. According to Rebecca Brownlee of Drug Action, some major risks connected with alcohol and drug abuse were discovered. Among them were involvement with older teens or adults who approve of drugs and alcohol, having friends who use marijuana, and regular smoking before the age of 11. About 8,000 Wake County middle schoolers were voluntarily surveyed for the study. The results will be used to improve the county's drug prevention programs and direct more attention to those students at high risk of abuse. Tonight, students announced a major program aimed at reducing the number of teenagers who die in alcohol-related traffic accidents. Bill Leslie has the story.
Whether it's prom night or graduation night, high school students love to party. But some believe they can't have a good time without alcohol. And that can be a deadly mistake. 92 North Carolina teenagers died in alcohol-related traffic accidents in 1986. Some students are determined to bring those fatality figures down. They're planning an alcohol-free graduation party for all high school seniors in Wake County.
There's going to be so much going on at the party that there's no way that you could get that much of a natural high off getting high off alcohol or drinking alcohol, getting drunk.
State officials are convinced that Project Graduation will work.
Yeah, it can make a difference because that's just one less individual out there who's driving along in a 4,000-pound vehicle who has the potential of running over you or a member of your family or a friend.
Students must sign a form promising not to drink before or during the party. Based on the success of similar programs in Charlotte and Wilmington, organizers here think they will have no trouble selling students on the idea.
Oh, I'd just come up and tell you that on graduation night there was going to be a big party, an all-night party, and that it was going to have a lot of bands, and there were going to be a lot of kids attending, and it was going to be a lot of fun, and we'd really want you to come. And organizers believe at least half of the graduating seniors will come to their alcohol-free party on June the 11th at the State Fairgrounds. I'm Bill Leslie, Action News 5, Raleigh.
The state wants more control over artificial reefs that are placed in the ocean. 2 rusty old ships on the Cape Fear River will soon be sunk onto the ocean's floor near Wilmington and Morehead City. About a year ago, the Army Corps of Engineers and the state came up with a plan to control the number, the placement, and the upkeep of the reefs. One official said, "We don't want to see what happened in Florida, where no central plan there had hundreds of reefs out there with no one maintaining them." And they're just making for better fishing grounds for all of us.
That's interesting. They're watching one go down.
Sure is.
Well,
They're going to sink some more of them soon.
how about that?
Just means more fish that I can
That's
catch.
right. That's right. We'll go down there and catch a whopper or two, maybe a 69-pound
Catfish? I don't know.
catfish.
No, I don't.
Saltwater catfish.
Okay, all right. You all ready for anything?
Anything? What's
Well,
anything?
if you're going up towards New York State over the next couple of days, you could see a lot of snow. But around here, I don't think so. We're just going to look for some rain, and we'll look over here in the Weather Center after this.
It's the game, State and Carolina. When these two meet, it's always a thriller. Carolina won the first game and has the home court advantage, but State knows how to pull off the upset on the road. State versus Carolina, Thursday night at 9 on WRAL TV5.
Ooh, what a game that will be tomorrow night. Can't wait for that one. All right, I can't wait for the warm weather to come in here and just stay for a while. We had a nice day today. 54 degrees the high. Overnight low 29, and we're at 38 currently. Humidity 67%. Pressure is very high, going up. 30, 35 last time we looked, with winds out of the east at about 7 miles an hour. And Jordan and Falls deciding to go down a little bit, but only a tenth of a foot. Not a lot to show you as far as North Carolina is concerned. There is some moisture off the coast. That Arctic front hanging right along in this direction somewhere. And a very, very strong storm system starting to make up in the Ohio Valley. At least we'll track up into the Ohio Valley overnight. And folks up in this area are really going to play sock it to me, and we're just going to have a pretty good time. However, the northern mountains of North Carolina are under a winter storm watch for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. And they will get some snow on those northern mountains, and there will be some accumulation. However, I think for us it is mainly going to be just in the form of rain. Clear skies now, but the Arctic front, and it is cold air, the Arctic front heads on back down and towards the lower Mississippi Valley. We've positioned it for you here. And a lot of folks down here have been enjoying fairly mild temperatures, but that is not going to be the case. Tomorrow that thing is going to sag down. And friends, that's cold air, and it is on the way in North Carolina. It does not seem to be as bitterly cold as we had anticipated maybe earlier, but still cold enough. Now, so let's take a look. Tomorrow, coastal storm will form. Here comes the other storm in the Ohio Valley. Both of these will head on up towards New York State and merge in one really kick-it-to-me hard storm. From parts of New York State up through New England, anywhere from 6 to 8 to 14 inches of snow in that area over the next day or so. But for us now, we're only talking about rainfall, and in and out, not all that bad. It's conceivable that maybe some of the northwestern Piedmont and northern foothills may have a little changeover. In other words, maybe a little frozen rain, sleet maybe. But I think for the most part, outside of that one area around the northern mountains and some of the other mountains where they might have a changeover situation or a mixture, I think we're just going to have rain. Then the cold air comes in behind it and is going to settle in, but not for long. And we'll show you in just a moment. Let's show you what's going on around our state right now for temperatures, either in the upper 30s or 40s, low 40s. 41 at Goldsboro, 43 at Fayetteville. As I said, we're at 38. A little warmer over at Charlotte, where it's 42. Out at Asheville, 32. And in the 40s at the coast, Elizabeth City reporting 37. If you missed our forecast at 6 o'clock, listen up. Here we go. As that system starts to move in from the west now, we're going to see increasing cloudiness later on tonight. We expect the overnight low in the triangle area of 34 degrees. Tomorrow morning, wake-up time. Variable amounts of cloudiness. I doubt if you'll see a lot of sunshine. Temperatures will start to climb. And tomorrow will be a little cooler than today. We're going to have a little northeasterly wind flow come in, and we're going to see some rain and drizzle. We have what we call an overrunning situation, cool air at the surface and moist, warmer air up on top. So this gives us periods of rain and drizzle, the high tomorrow around 48. Tomorrow night showers continuing at 34 degrees. Then we'll start to see the temperatures move on downward. 46 on Friday, and all the stuff ought to be gone. All the storms will be moving away from us up northeast. And then Friday night, the cold air starts to move in, and we'll wake up Saturday morning a little on the chilly side. Saturday doesn't really look all that bad, 38 degrees. Gosh, I've played in worse weather than that, golf that is. And then 40, yay, a veritable warming trend on Sunday. And then another system in here on Monday to give us more shower activity as we start next week, and it looks like that's going to be warming up, so it'll just be showers. Charlie?
Boo hiss on the 20s.
Yes, I
and 25s.
Yes, I'm ready for spring.
The city of San Diego said goodbye to two of the biggest attractions on the West Coast. Two giant Chinese panda bears ended their visit to San Diego Zoo today. And they're going back to Beijing. Bossy and Wan Wan, you see them here, have been a favorite attraction of the zoo.